Thank you. Good morning, Chair Neal, Ranking Member Brady, and distinguished members of the House and Ways and Means Committee. I want to thank you for holding this hearing on leveraging the tax code for infrastructure investment and for inviting me to testify. My name is Khalil Shahyd. I'm a senior policy advisor on equity, environment, and just communities with the Natural Resources Defense Council. NRDC is an international nonprofit organization of scientists, lawyers, and environmental specialists dedicated to protecting public health and the environment. The U.S. is confronted today by the extraordinary and interconnected crises of the global pandemic, the persistence of deep racial injustice, a rapidly destabilizing climate, and threats to the democratic foundation of the nation. Few sessions of Congress have ever shouldered a greater responsibility or a greater opportunity. The Ways and Means Committee and its members have a chance to help alleviate some of these crises by utilizing a tax code to repair and upgrade infrastructure, support energy efficient, healthy, affordable housing, deploy more clean energy and clean vehicles, and ensure that good jobs are spread across our society. No place in America is more emblematic of these interweaving crises made worse due to deteriorating infrastructure than Jackson, Mississippi. For nearly 5 weeks beginning in mid-February, parts of Jackson faced a water crisis triggered by prolonged freezing temperatures, causing pipes to burst. But these storms did not cause the health and human rights crisis in Jackson. The city's water system was in crisis long before the storms. What happened in Jackson is shamefully reminiscent of the tragedy of neglect and broken infrastructure that saw Flint, Michigan, literally poisoned. It is a scenario all too common in cities and small towns across the nation where racism and limited government rhetoric have left gaping needs in our ability to protect families from harm. To raise money for infrastructure and local services, cities must now rely on property taxes and floating bonds to court private investment. However, the capacity to raise funds and benefit from private investment is highly unequal, with large coastal cities and those able to specialize in high-value services like technology, biohealth, and finances typically taking the lion's share of investment and more highly educated workforce. The largest potential threat to the cost of financing infrastructure will come from increasing the cost for states to borrow through municipal debt. Raising the corporate tax rate coupled with a new Build America Bonds program could help drive more investment to municipal bonds that cities use to repair needed infrastructure, replace lead service lines that threaten the health of so many Americans today. Housing infrastructure is another key area impacted by the ability of localities to raise capital and is especially critical for the affordable housing that provides homes to our nation's lowest income households. And while some question the inclusion of affordable housing in our nation's infrastructure priorities, the shortage of affordable housing in major U.S. cities cost our economy $2 trillion each year in lower wages and productivity, preventing low-income households from moving to areas with more economic opportunities. A 2015 study estimates that between 1964 and 2009, GDP growth would have been 13.5% higher if there were more affordable housing options for families. That translates into $1.7 trillion increase in income overall and just under $9,000 in additional wages per worker. Just 1 year of construction on 100 affordable rental units can generate $11 million in local income and $2 million in taxes and revenue while creating 161 local jobs. To avert the worst impacts of climate change, our policies and incentives must ensure both that emissions that cause climate change are reduced and that people can live in safe, affordable housing. I'll highlight two important federal energy efficiency tax incentives. First, the energy efficient new homes, Section 45L of the tax code. And second, for existing energy efficient retrofits, Section 25C. Each of these can help prepare our nation's housing infrastructure to address climate change while creating jobs in more stable communities. However, these incentives expired at the end of 2020 and must be updated and reauthorized. In addition, expired Section 45M should be repurposed to incentivize the installation of high-efficiency heat pumps, space, and water heaters. Additional measures like coupling renewable energy and energy efficiency tax credits with the low-income housing tax credit will be vital to ensure that our most vulnerable families, who contribute the least to climate change, are not left behind by investments to build anew. A whole-of-government approach to addressing the climate crisis and its related challenges begins with this Congress. One approach to doing so is to provide additional incentives for clean energy projects that benefit communities who live in places with high levels of pollution or long-term poverty, or who face high levels of unemployment due to recent or planned closure of fossil fuel and nuclear power plants, extraction, or processing facilities. This committee should work to reduce emissions as quickly as possible on behalf of every American. That means long-term, full value extensions of the investment tax credit and production tax credit, establishing standalone investment credits for high voltage transmission and energy storage, eliminating the automaker cap for electric vehicle tax incentives, and upgrading the charging incentives, as well as critical updates to a slate of energy efficiency credits, such as those mentioned above. All appropriate credits should be given the option of being utilized as direct pay to aid their effectiveness. Thank you, and I yield my time.